always seen like the Bahá'í temple and always wondered what is it, you know, like this is just a unified place of worship where it doesn't exclude anyone. We trying to find like our spiritual identity, and I feel like just coming here every once a week just to like recharge and clear my mind has been very helpful. Just my life in general. So
I mostly felt like a lot of joy to be able to be here with like my friends, and going inside made me feel even more happier.
As soon as you're there and then you spend a little 5-10 minutes, then you start like, I don't know, connecting to something. It's a good experience that after a while you feel like you want to stay there for. I mean, you're just contemplating, listening to the songs, the music, and people reading these passages. I mean, everything, the entire place, you know, puts you into a state of peace.
It was really nice to be at a place of worship, but also notice different ethnicities that you know for a fact, for the most part, that like practice different religions. It was surprising to just find it here in, you know, Chicago, or what is this area. It was very unexpected, but a really great surprise.
This whole thing was a process of having almost a whole new world opened up to me, you know, to think that there are so many parallels between different spiritual paths. At the core, it feels like everybody come together, you know, and whatever you bring to the table is good enough.
Just go and sit in quiet and contemplate God and say prayers, and it's very simple, but it's very elegant. I love the fact that it has 9 sides. It makes me feel like you're in a circle. You're being encircled by God.
So when I think about the Baha'i House of Worship, I think first about how important it serves the need for people to come together at a spiritual center and seek that inspiration, what your path is in serving your community. It's a transformative process because it enables us to become more than we ever knew we could or should be. I'm finding in my time spent here at the House of Worship that more and more people are coming here for this same purpose, to find that spiritual inspiration. So how do we use this to change what we see around us? So you look for the guiding spiritual principles within the writings, because that's what's transforming us, right? Because they're inspired by God through these sacred writings. That's what transforms our hearts, our minds, our actions, the way we think. But we have to take it and kind of translate it into how we can use it in our lives. It is not only through the adults or the elders that the learning comes, that actually children and youth have the ability to seek understanding through the development of their various capacities, how to express themselves, how to understand who they are in relationship to one another, and that they themselves can be very active agents of change and transformation in their communities.
In the name of the one born on this day, him whom God has made to be the herald of his name, the Almighty, the All-Loving. This is a tablet we have addressed unto that night, wherein the heavens and the earth were illumined by a light that cast its radiance over the entire creation. Blessed art thou, O night, for through thee was born the day of God, a day which we have ordained to be the lamp of salvation unto the denizens of the cities of names, the chalice of victory unto the champions of the arenas of eternity, and the dawning place of joy and exaltation unto all creation. Immeasurably exalted is God, the maker of the heavens, who hath caused this day to speak forth that name, whereby the veils of idle fantasy have been rent asunder, the mists of vain imaginings have been dispelled, and his name, the self-subsisting, have dawned above the horizon of certitude. Through thee, the choice wine of everlasting life have been unsealed. The doors of knowledge and utterance have been unlocked before the peoples of the earth, and the breezes of the All-Merciful have been wafted over every region. All glory be to that hour, wherein the treasure of God, the all-powerful, the all-knowing, the all-wise, hath appeared.
On this night, the fragrance of nearness was wafted. The portals of reunion at the end of days were flung open, and all created things were of all names, who is come with world-embracing sovereignty. On this night, the concourse on high celebrated the praise of their Lord, the exalted, the most glorious. And the realities of the divine names extolled him who is the King of the beginning and the end in this revelation. A revelation through whose potency the mountains have hastened unto him who is the all-sufficing, the Most High. And the hearts have turned towards the countenance of their best beloved, and the leaves have been stirred into motion by the breezes of yearning. And the trees have raised their voices in joyful reply to the call of him who is the unconstrained. And the entire earth hath trembled with longing in its desire to attain reunion with the eternal King. And all things have been made new by that concealed word which hath appeared in this mighty name.
I am the primal point from which have been generated all created things. I am the countenance of God, whose splendor can never be obscured. The light of God, whose radiance can never fade. All the keys of heaven God hath chosen to place on my right hand, and all the keys of hell on my left. I am one of the sustaining pillars of the primal word of God. Whosoever hath recognized me hath known all that is true and right, and hath attained all that is good and seemly. The substance wherewith God hath created me is not the clay out of which others have been formed. He hath conferred upon me that which the worldly wise can never comprehend, nor the faithful discover.
باسم المولود الذي جعله الله مبشراً لاسمه العزيز الودود. لوح من لدنا إلى ليلة فيها لاحت السماوات والأرض من نير به أنار من في العالمين. طوبى لك بما ولد فيك يوم الله الذي جعلناه مصباح الفلاح لأهل مدائن الأسماء وأقداح النجاح لمن في ميادين البقاء ومطلع الفرح والابتهاج لمن في الإنشاء. تعالى الله فاطر السماء الذي أنطقه بهذا الاسم الذي به خرقت حجبات الموهوم وسبحات الظنون وأشرق اسم القيوم من أفق اليقين. وفيه فك ختم رحيق الحيوان وفتح باب العلم والبيان لمن في الإمكان وسرت نسمة الرحمن على البلدان. حبذا ذاك الحين الذي فيه ظهر كنز الله المقتدر العليم الحكيم. أن يا ملأ الأرض والسماء إنها الليلة الأولى قد جعلها الله آية لليلة الأخرى التي فيها ولد من لا يعرف بالأذكار ولا يوصف بالأوصاف. طوبى لمن تفكر فيهما، إنه يرى الظاهر طبق الباطن، ويطلع بأسرار الله في هذا الظهور الذي به ارتعدت أركان الشرك وانصعقت أصنام الأوهام، وارتفعت راية إنه لا إله إلا هو المقتدر المتعالي الواحد الفرد المهيمن العزيز المنيع. وفيها هبت رائحة الوصال، وفتحت أبواب اللقاء في المآل، ونطقت الأشياء الملك لله مالك الأسماء الذي أتى بسلطان أحاط العالمين. وفيها تهلل الملأ الأعلى ربهم العلي الأبهاء، وسبحت حقائق الأسماء مالك الآخرة والأولى بهذا الظهور الذي به طارت الجبال إلى الغني المتعال، وتوجهت القلوب إلى وجه المحبوب، وتحركت الأوراق من رياح الاشتياق، ونادت الأشجار من جذب نداء المختار، واهتز العالم شوقا للقاء مالك القدم، وبدعت الأشياء من الكلمة المخزونة التي ظهرت بهذا الاسم العظيم. أن يا ليلة الوهاب قد نرى فيك أم الكتاب، أإنه مولود أم كتاب؟ لا ونفسي كل ذلك في مقام الأسماء قد جعله الله مقدسا عنها. به ظهر الغيب المكنون والسر المخزون، لا وعمري كل ذلك يذكر في مقام الصفات وإنه لسلطانها. به ظهر مظاهر لا قبل إله إلا الله، طوبى للموقنين. إذا انصعق القلم الأعلى ويقول يا من لا تذكر بالأسماء فاعف عني بسلطانك المهيمن على الأرض والسماء، لأني خلقت بإبداعك، كيف أقدر أن أذكر ما لا يذكر بالإبداع؟ مع ذلك وعزتك لو أذكر ما ألهمتني لينعدمن الممكنات من الفرح والابتهاج، فكيف تموجات بحر بيانك في هذا المقام الأسنى والمقر الأعلى الأقصى. أي ربي فاعف هذا القلم الأبكم عن ذكر هذا المقام الأعظم، ثم ارحمني يا مالكي وسلطاني، وتجاوز عني بما اشترحت بين يديك، إنك أنت المعطي المقتدر الغفور الكريم.
I swear by thy glory, were I to proclaim that wherewith thou hast inspired me, the entire creation would pass away from joy and ecstasy. How much more then would it be overwhelmed before the billows of the ocean of thine utterance in this most luminous, most exalted, and transcendent spot. Absolve, O Lord, this faltering pen from magnifying so august a station, and deal mercifully with me, O my possessor and my king. Overlook then my trespasses in thy presence. Thou, verily, art the Lord of bounty, the all-powerful, the ever-forgiving, the most generous.
Te suplico por tu poder, oh mi Dios, no permitas que ningún daño me acose a la hora de las pruebas. Y en los momentos de dejadez, guía mis pasos rectamente por medio de tu inspiración. Tú eres Dios, potente eres tú para hacer lo que desees. Nadie puede resistirse a tu voluntad, ni frustrar tu propósito.
Glory be unto thee, O God. How can I make mention of thee, while thou art sanctified from the praise of all mankind? Magnified be thy name, O God. Thou art the King, the eternal truth. Thou knowest what is in the heavens and on the earth, and unto thee must all return. Thou hast sent down thy divinely ordained revelation according to a clear measure. Praised art thou, O Lord. At thy behest thou dost render victorious whomsoever thou willest, through the hosts of heaven and earth, and whatsoever existeth between them. Thou art the sovereign, the eternal truth, the Lord of invincible might. Glorified art thou, O Lord. Thou forgivest at all times the sins of such among thy servants as implore thy pardon. Wash away my sins and the sins of those who seek thy forgiveness at dawn, who pray to thee in the daytime and in the night season, who yearn after not save God, who offer up whatsoever God hath graciously bestowed upon them, who celebrate thy praise at morn and eventide, and who are not remiss in their duties.
Save God. Say praised be God. He is God. Oh, all his servants and all his bidding. Is there any remover of difficulties, save God, say praise be God, He is God. All his servants and all abide by his bidding. Is there any remover of difficulties, save God, say praise be God, He is God. All his servants and all abide by his bidding, by his
Is there any remover of difficulties, save God? Say praise be God. He is God. All are his servants and all abide by his bidding.
O Lord, thou art the remover of every anguish and the dispeller of every affliction. Thou art he who banisheth every sorrow and setteth free every slave, the redeemer of every soul. O Lord, grant deliverance through thy mercy, and reckon me among such servants of thine as have gained salvation. Glory be to thee, O God. Thou art the God who hath existed before all things, and who will exist after all things, and will last beyond all things. Thou art the God who knoweth all things, and is supreme over all things. Thou art the God who dealeth mercifully with all things, who judgest between all things, and whose vision embraceth all things. Thou art God, my Lord. Thou art aware of my position. Thou dost witness my inner and outer being. Grant thy forgiveness unto me and unto the believers who responded to thy call. Be thou my sufficing helper against the mischief of whosoever may desire to inflict sorrow upon me or wish me ill. Verily, thou art the Lord of all created things. Thou dost suffice everyone, while no one can be self-sufficient without thee.
Say, God sufficeth all things above all things, and nothing in the heavens or in the earth but God sufficeth. Verily, he is in himself the knower, the sustainer, the omnipotent.
In the name of thy Lord, the Creator, the Sovereign, the all-sufficing, the most exalted, he whose help is implored by all men. Say, O my God, O thou who art the maker of the heavens and of the earth, O Lord of the kingdom, thou well knowest the secrets of my heart, while thy being is inscrutable to all save thyself. Thou seest whatsoever is of me, while no one else can do this save thee. Vouchsafe unto me through thy grace what will enable me to dispense with all except thee, and destine for me that which will make me independent of everyone else besides thee. Grant that I may reap the benefit of my life in this world and in the next. Open to my face the portals of thy grace, and graciously confer upon me thy tender mercy and bestowals. O thou who art the Lord of grace abounding, let thy celestial aid surround those who love thee, and bestow upon us the gifts and the bounties thou dost possess. Be thou sufficient unto us of all things. Forgive our sins and have mercy upon us. Thou art our Lord and the Lord of all created things. No one else do we invoke but thee, and not do we beseech but thy favors. Thou art the Lord of bounty and grace, invincible in thy power, and the most skillful in thy designs. No God is there but thee, the all-possessing, the most exalted. Confer thy blessings, O my Lord, upon the messengers, the holy ones, and the righteous. Verily, thou art God, the peerless, the all-compelling.
This glorious tablet hath been revealed on the anniversary of the birth, that thou mayest recite it in a spirit of humility and supplication, and give thanks unto the Lord, the all-knowing, the all-informed. Make thou every effort to render service unto God, that from thee may appear that which will immortalize thy memory of his glorious and exalted heaven. Say, glorified art thou, O my God. I implore thee by the dawning place of thy signs and by the revealer of thy clear tokens, to grant that I may, under all conditions, hold fast the cord of thy loving providence and cling tenaciously to the hem of thy generosity. Reckon me then with those whom the changes and chances of the world have failed to deter from serving thee and from bearing allegiance unto thee, whom the onslaught of the people hath been powerless to hinder from magnifying thy name and celebrating thy praise. Graciously assist me, O my Lord, to do whatever thou lovest and desirest. Enable me then to fulfill that which will exalt thy name and will set ablaze the fire of thy love. Thou art, in truth, the forgiving, the bountiful.
O Lord, enable all the peoples of the earth to gain admittance into the paradise of thy faith, so that no created being may remain beyond the bounds of thy good pleasure. From time immemorial thou hast been potent to do what pleaseth thee, and transcendent above whatsoever thou desirest.
Issue forth from your cities, O peoples of the West, and aid God, ere the day when the Lord of mercy shall come down unto you in the shadow of the clouds, with the angels circling around him, exalting his praise and seeking forgiveness for such as have truly believed in our signs. Verily, his decree hath been issued, and the command of God, as given in the Mother Book, hath indeed been revealed. Become as true brethren in the one and indivisible religion of God, free from distinction. For verily God desireth that your hearts should become mirrors unto your brethren in the faith, so that ye find yourselves reflected in them, and they in you. This is the true path of God, the Almighty, and he is indeed watchful over your actions.
The praise which hath dawned from thy most august self, and the glory which hath shone forth from thy most effulgent beauty, rest upon thee, O thou who art the manifestation of grandeur, and the King of eternity, and the Lord of all who are in heaven and on earth. I testify that through thee the sovereignty of God and his dominion, and the majesty of God and his grandeur were revealed, and the day stars of ancient splendor have shed their radiance in the heaven of thine irrevocable decree. And the beauty of the unseen hath shone forth above the horizon of creation. I testify, moreover, that with but a movement of thy pen, thine injunction, be thou, hath been enforced, and God's hidden secret hath been divulged, and all created things have been called into being, and all the revelations have been sent down. I bear witness, moreover, that through thy beauty, the beauty of the adored one hath been unveiled, and through thy face, the face of the desired one hath shone forth, and that through a word from thee, thou hast decided between all created things, causing them who are devoted to thee to ascend unto the summit of glory, and the infidels to fall into the lowest abyss. I bear witness that he who hath known thee hath known God, and he who hath attained unto thy presence hath attained unto the presence of God. Great, therefore, is the blessedness of him who hath believed in thee and in thy signs, and hath humbled himself before thy sovereignty, and hath been honored with meeting thee, and hath attained the good pleasure of thy will, and circled round thee, and stood before thy throne. Woe betide him that hath transgressed against thee, and hath denied thee and repudiated thy signs, and gainsaid thy sovereignty, and risen up against thee, and waxed proud before thy face, and hath disputed thy testimonies, and fled from thy rule and thy dominion, and been numbered with the infidels, whose name have been inscribed by the fingers of thy behest upon thy holy tablets. Waft then unto me, O my God and my beloved, from the right hand of thy mercy and thy loving kindness, the holy breaths of thy favors, that they may draw me away from myself and from the world unto the courts of thy nearness and thy presence. Potent art thou to do what pleaseth thee. Thou truly hast been supreme over all things. The remembrance of God and his praise, and the glory of God and his splendor rest upon thee, O thou who art his beauty. I bear witness that the eye of creation have never gazed upon one wronged like thee. Thou wast immersed all the days of thy life beneath an ocean of tribulations. At one time, thou wast in chains and fetters. At another, thou wast threatened by the sword of thine enemies. Yet, despite all this, thou didst enjoin upon all men to observe what had been prescribed unto thee by him who is the all-knowing, the all-wise. May my spirit be a sacrifice to the wrongs thou didst suffer, and my soul be a ransom for the adversities thou didst sustain. I beseech God, by thee and by them whose faces have been illumined with the splendors of the light of thy countenance, and who, for love of thee, have observed all whereunto they were bidden, to remove the veils that have come in between thee and thy creatures, and to supply me with the good of this world and the world to come. Thou art in truth the Almighty, the most exalted, the all-glorious, the ever-forgiving, the most compassionate. Bless thou, O Lord, my God, the divine lote tree and its leaves, and its boughs, and its branches, and its stems, and its offshoots, as long as thy most excellent titles will endure, and thy most august attributes will last. Protect it then from the mischief of the aggressor and the host of tyranny. Thou art in truth the Almighty, the most powerful. Bless thou also, O Lord, my God, thy servants and thy handmaidens who have attained unto thee. Thou truly art the all-bountiful, whose grace is infinite. No God is there save thee, the ever-forgiving, the most generous.
It marks the 200th anniversary of the birth of the Bab, one of the founders of the Baha'i faith. Baha'is all over the world are celebrating with diverse activities and unique and special things that are happening all over the world. And it's my pleasure to introduce one of the members of the National Spiritual Assembly, Dr. David Young.
Well, I just want to echo that sweet spirit that you are going to hopefully experience all evening tonight. Your host is our National Spiritual Assembly. This is the elected body that governs the Baha'i community's affairs for the United States. And I might say I'm from Oregon, and whatever is going on outside, I don't recognize, and I know rain. So you are intrepid souls, and I think in most of the world's literature, and particularly the scriptures of all the world's religions, which as Baha'is we honor as being from the same source, it speaks about how the intrepid souls are specially rewarded. So this evening, you intrepid souls, somehow managing to get here through this weather, you are going to have a feast. But I hope that what you take this evening is the spirit that you find here. This is a hallowed place for Baha'is. There is one house of worship on each continent. But really, it's the spirit of the music that you're going to experience tonight that I trust we will all share as it touches our hearts. I hope you are feeling most welcome, and I hope that as the evening moves on, the Spirit will move on with you. So, good evening.
Here am I, here am I. Here am I. Here am I, oh Lord, oh Lord. Here am I, here am I. Here am I. Here am I, oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, my God. Take my hand, take my hand. Take my hand. Take my hand, oh Lord, oh Lord, my God. Here am I, here am I. Here am I.
Welcome. We are here tonight to honor the birth, life, and legacy of one of God's special divine educators. Syed Ali Muhammad was born on October 20th, 1819, in Shiraz, a city in southern Persia, now Iran. He later took the title the Bab, meaning the gate. In 1844, the Bab declared that he had been called by God to be humanity's gateway to a new and glorious future. The Bab was an advocate of the poor. He supported the advancement of women, universal education, and the study of science, really radical ideas in his time and place. As one of God's messengers, the Bab established a new religion, and his followers became known as Baha'is. Now, consider, whenever a divine educator appears in the world, a figure whose teaching will come to shape human thought and action for centuries thereafter, the appearance of every such educator, as recorded in the sacred texts of the world's religions, is a pivotal event that propels the advancement of civilization. The spiritual stimulus each has provided throughout history has enabled humankind to cooperate, to extend from the clan, to the tribe, to the city-state, to the nation. Each of these great teachers, Abraham, Buddha, Zoroaster, Krishna, Jesus, Muhammad, promised that in time another divine figure would appear, whose coming would be anticipated and whose influence would reform the world.
No wonder then that the coming of the Bab gave rise to unprecedented turmoil in the county where he was born. The moment of his appearance, like the appearance of all messengers of God, precipitated the release of powerful spiritual forces, but there was no fanfare. There was instead a late evening conversation in a modest Persian dwelling between a student of religion and his youthful host, during which that host revealed that he was the promised one, the divine educator his guest had been seeking. It is this youth, the Bab, that we acclaim as the one whose coming, after an interval of 1,000 years, shed the light of divine guidance once again upon the human world. The Bab came to purge and purify, to uproot the withered and spent customs of a wayward age, and to wash away the obscuring dust from the eyes of those blinded by illusion. The religious and civil authorities were threatened by the Bab's progressive teachings. They imprisoned and tortured him and hundreds of his followers. Despite their efforts, the movement spread like wildfire. In 1850, the Bab was executed by firing squad in a public square in Tabriz. But a light had been lit in the land which was not to be so easily extinguished. The Bab prepared the people for the imminent appearance of Baha'u'llah, the second of the twin luminaries destined to bring new light to humankind.
Thus did the Bab, and then afterwards, with even greater splendor, Baha'u'llah. Thus did they illuminate a society and an age shrouded in darkness. They inaugurated a new stage in the social evolution of humanity, the stage of the unification of the entire world, the unification of the entire human family. Tonight we honor the Bab by sharing but a small part of his message through some of his own powerful words. These words are here set to music, along with some of the writings of Baha'u'llah. We welcome you to engage, to listen, and to hear the story the music tells. Welcome.
Is there any remover of difficulties? Safeguard. Say praise be God. He is God. It's ironic that these words of the Bab, very short prayer, and it brings all of us together as we think about the world, as we think about each other, as we think about this. Now is the time for us to get rid of all of our difficulties. We were in the wrong key. So, is there any remover of difficulties? Safeguard. Say, praised be God. He is God. All are his servants, and all abide by his bidding. Is there any remover of difficulty? Save God. Say, praise be God. He is God. His servant, and all abide by his bidding. These two songs are based on the words of the Bahá'í. Many of us use them all the time, particularly the remover of difficulties. We're normally an a cappella choir, and we have the pleasure once again here in the house of worship to have the Lincolnwood Symphony Orchestra play with us. when the messengers of God have come, they have not brought to us music, which this evening is full of. I would like to read a quotation from the Baha'i writings. It says, "Music is one of the arts, and the prophets of God do not teach the arts. But the tremendous cultural impetus which religion gives to society gradually produces new and wonderful forms of art." You'll hear a variety of music here tonight, and this is only our look at what music will become when all of us in the world become one. And when we have now the cultures of every race, every nation, that brings to it, to the music, their own spirit and their own feelings. So now we'll turn to the orchestra, who will help me welcome Phil Simmons and the Lincolnwood Orchestra.
Thank you, everyone. On behalf of the Lincoln Wood Chamber Orchestra and American Music Festivals, we want to tell you how much we appreciate everything the Baha'i House of Worship has done for us. Our third concert collaboration with the wonderful choir, the great Van Gilmer. Such an honor for us to be here with you for this bicentenary celebration. Our third collaboration with the Baha'i House of Worship, and we're looking forward to many more. Our program today is one of great respect, one of uplifting music, and also music that is reflective. And our next two compositions are in that vein. So again, we're very grateful to be here, and we look forward to many more collaborations like this. And thank you very much.
cast thy glance of favor upon us. Give light to our eyes. Give hearing to our ears, and understanding and love to our hearts. O thou compassionate Lord, thou who art generous we are servants of thine, sheltered beneath thy providence. Cast thy glance of favor upon us.